Once upon a time in the lush, vibrant jungle, there lived a magnificent lion named Simba. Simba wasn't just any lion. He was the king. A tiny mouse named Squeak scurried across the jungle path, barely avoiding a sleeping Simba's paw. Squeak gathered the bravest animals, including a cynical hyena, a timid zebra, and a surprisingly enthusiastic troop of baboons. "We need a new leader, and you get to choose who that will be. It doesn't matter if you're small or big, young or old, fluffy or scaly. If you live here, you can vote." It was about helping the animals he was supposed to protect. He learned to balance his love for naps with his duty to his people. He led with kindness, strength, and, well, maybe a little bit of wisdom gained from losing an election. Now, no one understood why the hermit crab had given that particular shell to Squeak, or why the old rhino suddenly developed a passion for building bridges, or how the hyena ended up running for mayor. But sometimes the strangest things happened in the jungle, and those were the best kinds of stories. A fierce determination replaced his usual drowsiness. He chased away the leopards that had been eyeing the baby antelopes, helped a stork retrieve its lost baby, and even rescued the singing bird, Berry Whitetail, from a thorny bush. That day, Simba realized that being king didn't mean having power. It meant using his strength to help others, and the other animals noticed his change too. During the final campaign rallies, they roared and cheered for him. Simba, Simba. Simba, he couldn't believe his ears. Was this really happening? The election committee was counting the votes again. This time they would count each vote twice to make sure. And when they finally announced the result, the jungle fell silent. King Simba had won by a landslide. Long live the king. The animals roared, and that's when Simba remembered the taste of victory. He raised his head and let out a mighty roar, shaking the trees and making the monkeys swing higher. And then, because he was still a little sleepy, he yawned widely and said, "Does anyone want to hear about the time I outsmarted a hyena by pretending to be a dead snake?" And the animals thought, maybe being a little lazy as king wasn't such a bad thing after all. As long as you knew how to make it work. And one day she knocked on a peculiar cave. Inside lived an old hermit crab who hadn't spoken to anyone in years. He was famous for solving riddles that no one else could. Squeak explained the situation and asked if he could help. The hermit crab pondered for a moment, tapping his shell with a claw. You seek a leader, yet your current king slumbers through your concerns. Perhaps he needs a reminder of what it means to be king. He handed Squeak a seashell. "This will help you make him remember." Squeak thanked him and hurried off. They started drawing pictures of animals voting and holding hands, since not all animals could read or write. And Berry, the singing bird, continued to campaign using the hit song "Don't Be Blue." But no one paid much attention to him because he kept forgetting the words. Meanwhile, the pressure was on for King Simba. The animals would often bump into him on his walks and remind him, "Simba, don't forget to vote." He would nod absent-mindedly while trying to figure out which beetle tasted better, roasted or steamed. Then one day, Squeak approached him while he was taking his customary post-lunch nap. Excuse me, Your Majesty," she squeaked. Simba opened one sleepy eye. "Yes, I need you to wake up for the meeting, huh?" "All right. Meeting. Right." But when he got there, the other animals had already voted. "Wait, what? How could this happen?" "I am the king," Simba exclaimed. Squeak handed him the shell from the hermit crab. "Blow into this, and you can still vote." Simba hesitated. Taking the seashell felt strange. It wasn't a weapon or a toy. It was something that reminded him of his responsibilities. Taking a deep breath, he blew. The shell emitted a low whistle, which echoed through the jungle. "Did I win?" he asked hopefully. "Not quite," said Squeak with a smile. "But you're still the king, Simba, whether you win or lose the election. The choice is up to them." She stepped back and let him decide. Squeak also wrote down everyone's names who had lived in the jungle for more than 2 seasons and could therefore vote. Next, they picked the candidates. Every animal could stand for the election as long as they promised to improve the lives of others. A rhino volunteered to clear the riverbanks. 2 mongooses offered to build a night guard system. Even the singing bird, who was called Berry Whitetail, decided to give politics a shot. As for Simba, well, he was too busy taking an extremely important nap to even notice what was going on. She dashed towards the talking tree, the wise old banyan tree where every animal went for advice. "Oh, talking tree," she cried. "King Simba won't help us. He only cares about himself. What should we do?" The talking tree rustled her leaves thoughtfully. "Your king isn't doing his job, Squeak, and it's your duty as citizens to find a new leader. You must hold an election." The mouse gasped. "An election? But who will lead the election?" "Why, you will, Squeak. You are the tiniest and the bravest of us all. I choose you to organize the Jungle Election Committee." His mane flowed like a waterfall of gold. His roar shook the trees, and his paws trod softly on the jungle floor. Except when he wanted to wake up the grumpy warthogs who lived under his favorite mango tree. Now Simba loved two things the most: being king and sleeping. There was nothing he enjoyed more than waking up early, having breakfast, and then going back to sleep until sunset. In between, he would answer important questions like, "Can I fit more than 100 bugs in my mouth? Are zebras faster if I scare them while they're drinking water?" Of course, those answers were yes and no, respectively. But while Simba was perfectly content with this routine, the rest of the jungle dwellers weren't exactly thrilled about it. Don't get me wrong, they loved their easygoing, sleepy king. He never woke them up for morning jogs, didn't care much about fashion, and most importantly, never ate them. However, life in the jungle went way beyond sleeping and bug snacking. There were important matters that needed attention. The monkeys needed help fixing their wobbly bridge. The birds wanted someone to stop their neighbor from singing terrible songs. The otters needed advice on which fish tasted better, and the hippos wanted to know why the grass on their side of the river stopped growing. But whenever these issues arose, Simba would simply nap through them. "If I ignore it, it'll go away," he'd say with a yawn. The other animals sighed. King Simba might have been the best sleeping king, but he was definitely not the best reigning king. Then one day, everything changed. Meanwhile, Squeak visited every tree hole and burrow to explain what was happening. As election day approached, the candidates campaigned, promising all sorts of wonderful things. The zebra suggested a new water pipeline. The mongooses proposed a giant termite motel. Well, that was it. Life as the king wasn't about sleeping, roaring, and collecting pretty shells. From that day on, Simba remained the beloved, if somewhat sleepy, king of the jungle.